Bon, on est bon. Hi Alex, can we do some tests with your mic, please? Perfect, thank you.
Well, a warm welcome to Les Sables d'Olonne for our first Vendée Zoom session, our one and only session with the international skippers. We have 5 skippers lined up to talk to at 5 days before the start of the Vendée Globe. Welcome to Alexander Champy-McLean, who's practically Scottish, but he's going to be asking some questions from our internauts who have posed them for the skippers. And a warm welcome to our skippers who are online with us on Zoom. And we have, starting off with Alex Thomson, hopefully, Pip Hare, Ari Huusela from Finland,
Ciao.
Miranda Merron, and Kojiro Shiraishi. So warm welcome to you all. I don't know who's actually with us in Les Sables d'Olonne, but we're going to start off with you, Alex. Alex, how is lockdown treating you at the moment?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Andy, I've been pretty much like this since the first lockdown. We couldn't afford to have any more time lost from the coronavirus. So myself and my family have been locked down, and I left home on Saturday, and I think my family were very happy that I left just for a few short hours before lockdown was introduced in England.
So what's your routine at the moment, Alex? I'm saying, what's your routine at the moment? What are you doing at the moment?
I'm here with Neil MacDonald, and I've got Paddy, our cameraman, and so it's a mix of running through data. We're still learning stuff from the gigabytes of data that we've managed to secure over the last 20,000 miles, and alongside doing lots of interviews and talking to people that Paddy does. So these two basically are beating me into shape. And they've made a deal with me that all my training, I've got a hand grinding bike just here. So they made a deal. The deal was that they would allow me to have a beer after I'd done my training, and they weren't allowed to have a beer until my training was done. So yeah, I'm being disciplined all the time. Good
for you, Alex. Let's join Miranda Merron now. Miranda, skipper of Compagnie de France. Miranda has been in Les Sables since the delivery. Miranda, how's, we've got Ari Huusela joining us on the screen there. Ari, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
What's life like lockdown in your camp?
Yep, it has been okay, actually. And boat is more or less ready, so it's been almost relaxing time.
What's your routine at the moment when you're locked down, when you're confined? Are you still getting out to do some sport?
I'm doing some sports, yes. I'm jogging on these very nice, beautiful beaches here. But last 2 days, weather hasn't been so nice, so I have been doing some gym at my apartment, which is very nice and in a good place. So,
Ari,
and of course, my
wife
Nina is here with me, so that makes my life much more nicer also.
Good. Okay, Ari, and we're going to join Miranda Merron this time. Miranda, how are you? How's lockdown for you?
Lockdown is actually, it's quite an interesting way to prepare for a race, for any race, but particularly the Vendée Globe. So while it was raining for the last couple of days, I took the opportunity to do my tax return, and now it's sunny. I'm taking the opportunity to be on my bike a bit and to finish off a couple of things on the boat, since we're actually allowed to go to the boat. And time is flying. It's going to be the start day in no time at all.
You look very relaxed, Miranda.
That's because we're in a nice, quiet house away from, well, there's nobody outside on the streets either. It is a bit odd, but it's a really, there are good things in bad. So while everyone is locked down, at least we get to prepare in peace for the Vendée Globe, because it's, now that I come to think of it, it's an awfully long way.
Lovely, Miranda. Let's join Kojiro Shiraishi now, our Japanese skipper, who's joined by the wonderful Shota Kanda, who is his translator, who works with them all the time. How are you guys?
Hi, good, thank you. みんな今コロナでまずスタートできること嬉しいです。So sorry, only Japanese.
Yeah, of course.
No, we're happy. We're happy that even though this the coronavirus is happening, the start is still on, and in a couple of days, so we're very happy for that.
Good.
あとそうだ。家族が来れなくなってね、あとみんなにも会えないし、スキッパーいないで寂しいんだけど、毎日日本食食べて頑張ってます。 but his family is not able, will not be able to come to France, so he's a little bit sad. But he's eating lots of Japanese food and keeping his spirits up.
And I'm sure you're looking after him. And finally, Pip Hare. Pip, how are you? How's lockdown in the Medallia camp?
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I mean, I obviously have been really hands-on with my project from the beginning, and to be hands-off in the last week doesn't feel right at all. So I'm actually struggling with that. Nice to hear you did tax return, Miranda. You're ahead of me on that one. I haven't quite finished mine yet. I've always been deadline on those things. So yeah, I'm just trying to sort of structure my time. I'm taking time every day to say goodbye to the people who haven't been able to come out here and see me, and just trying to put my life in order. And yeah, final few days of normal living, I suppose.
Indeed, Pip, the final countdown. So let's go in a little more detail to some of our skippers, and starting off with Alex Thomson. Alex, this is going to be your 5th Vendée Globe start. Everyone that I have spoken to, Alex, in the last few days says you've never been in a better place mentally and physically. Discuss.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, one comment that several people have been saying in the internet, you're looking very thin. Is there a different regime or something going on there?
Yeah, I've stopped myself from being allowed to eat any pork pies, Andy.
But have you been doing a lot?
We've done a lot of sailing this year, as much as we possibly could. I feel in pretty good shape, and pretty confident, really. It's a long journey to get to this point, and it's been disrupted by the coronavirus, obviously. But I'm super impressed with how my team have handled it. We've stuck to our plan, and we've achieved everything we wanted to achieve. And I think, when we arrived here in La Slaba, that was a time where I could tell my team that I felt the boat was ready, and that really makes you feel good when you realise you're at that point.
But are you actually lighter in terms of body weight, or just normal?
Yeah, I'm about 5 kilos lighter. Yeah, I'm about actually my Vendée finished weight actually.
So where will that leave you when you finish, Alex?
Well, I have a bit more food on board, so I'm hoping that the aim is not to lose any weight. But in the past, I think I used to think it was right to put weight on, but it's not really right to put weight on to then go and lose it. You should maintain that. So we worked hard on the food to try and get me to eat stuff that I actually want to eat, and a bit more motivated.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about life inside your capsule. How often do you actually go on deck, and what are the main reasons to go on deck?
Yeah, no, it's lots of discussion around this. So people would ask me, what's it like sailing on the Vendée Globe? And after the last one, I'd say, well, I live in a cave. Pretty much it was you pull the cover back and there was a big black cave, and then when water was coming over the deck, I'd put a little plastic screen down, which I called the Wendy house. So it's no different really to that. I go out on deck the same amount of time as I used to. I guess the big difference is from the position where I am in the cockpit, I don't have to go out to visually look at the trim of the sails. I can see that with my own eyes, from the windows in the cockpit. So that bit helps. You don't sometimes, when these things are doing 30 knots or surfing at 30 knots, you don't feel very safe to go up forwards and have a good look at the sail trim.
And what about starting? That's one of the concerns that some people have voiced, starting in a fleet of 33 boats. What will your strategy be?
I think my strategy has always been in the Vendée Globe not to have an issue at the start of the race. I think in the last Vendée, if you look at the video, you won't see me because I'm keeping out of everyone's way.
And Alex, just a quick word. Obviously, fantastic British innovation on board your boat. We've got Ben Ainsley in Auckland with Team Eneos at the moment. It's a pretty good advert for the marine trade in Britain.
Yeah, no, I think we're pretty blessed. Certainly where we are in Gosport. there are all the suppliers that we need, and they work. A lot of them have worked with us for a long time. They know what we need. We need them to get it right, get the details right, and it's important. I think it's great. It's great to see Pip there this year. Ari's been down to Gosport and done some work in the same place. So we really need to keep that skill and keep some campaigns running out of there for sure.
Alex, just one word. You're saying 66, 67 days for a record?
Yeah, so I said I gave 67 days based on 74 days last time, and we think if I hadn't broken my foil on day 11, I'd have been close to 70. On average, the boats go around the world 4 days quicker. But we just with our final tickle up of the polars, we've run the route around the world now for the last 40 years of weather in the last few weeks, and the average time for us around the world is 70 days. The minimum time, believe it or not, is 59 days, which seems ridiculous. But actually, worryingly, the longest time was 90 days.
Well, here's hoping
it's a big spread. It's hard to predict.
Well, here's hoping it's at the quicker end of that scale. Alex, thank you for the moment. Let's join Miranda Merron then, as I say, skipper of Campagne de France. Miranda, you were really just looking to get going and cut ties with all kinds of communication and be out there at one with your boat.
I'm looking forward to having no Gmail, no mobile phone, no internet, no shopping to do, no laundry. It's a real luxury to be able to go. We're not choosing to confine ourselves we're not being forced to confine ourselves for 3 months. In my case, it'll be 3 months. We're choosing to, and it's an absolute luxury to be able to be just by yourself with your boat on the ocean, and all you have is the sea and the sky and your boat. And there are very few times in life where you can go and do that for long periods of time, having chosen to do so.
But you're very happy with your own company.
Oh, yes, I kind of got used to myself. I'm 51 now, so I've plenty of time to get to know myself, and more than happy with my own company. I love my life on land as well. I like seeing friends and family and spending time with people, but it's nice to have time alone as well.
But obviously, Miranda, you've got a very small team. Yourself and Halvard have pretty much done all the work on your boat. But the benefit is you know it inside out, you know every bit of it, and that gives you a lot of confidence.
Yes, so I hope I won't have too many technical problems, but I hope that I could solve the vast majority of them as well, apart from the black art of electricity. But even that I'm learning slowly.
Tell me a little bit about the atmosphere between the girls in the race. We've got 6 women competing this time, which is fantastic. What's the atmosphere between you? I remember in the 2008 race that Dee and Sam had virtual afternoon tea on particular days. Do you think it'll be like that with you girls, or are you bitter rivals?
I think we'll be staying in touch with each other. It's so easy now with WhatsApp anyway. And we all get on pretty well, and it's really nice that we know each other, and I'm really happy that we're all going out on Vendée Globe together, and I'm quite sure that we'll be chatting, but secret chat, obviously, we won't tell you about it.
And Rich Wilson has been in town, who had your boat previously. Have you had any conversations or advice from him? Yes,
Rich Wilson came to visit his former boat. And really not that much has changed, and it was an absolute honor to have him on board and to spend time with him and ask him questions, and that was hugely appreciated. And I gather that it was quite hard work to get all the paperwork for him to be able to get to France from the States in the current situation.
But it's a fantastic benchmark for us all, isn't he? In terms of if you can get round at 66, then a lot of people can.
Yeah, it's certainly inspirational, and I was so pleased that he was able to make it.
And what are you looking forward to most on this race, Miranda?
What am I looking forward to most? I'm looking forward to the start day when the last media boat and support boat has turned back, because for me that's when the race really starts. And I'm looking forward to seeing albatrosses again. And at the moment, I'm only thinking about the nice things that I remember about all the oceans of the world that we're going to sail through again. And I'm putting it in the back of my mind, well out of sight, the things that frightened me last time and the time before and the time before that.
And you're looking forward to being back in the south?
It is an extraordinary place. It really is, and we're very lucky to be able to go, even if it's not really a place for mankind.
We're going to join Kajiro next, and you speak Japanese. Have you had any conversations in Japanese with Koji?
Sadly, I forgot most of my Japanese, but I was able to say hello, how are you earlier in Japanese, and I can understand what he's saying, which is nice. So he can send me some WhatsApp in Japanese, and I'll see whether I can reply.
Excellent. So Koji, then you're looking very happy as usual. Less than a week to go to the start. Are you getting nervous at all?
Sorry, we couldn't hear your question, Andy.
Sorry, Kojiro, I'm just asking, we've got 5 days to go. I'm just wondering whether Koji is getting nervous now. Is he sleeping well and feels fairly comfortable?
大丈夫。今回新しい船なんでね、前回スタート見てられたので、本当にフィニッシュしたい。それだけです。
No, I'm very I'm very calm, and I have a brand new boat this time, so I'm not really afraid of worried about the boat. I just I was able to show the start to all the Japanese people 4 years ago, and now I just want how the finish would be like. So this is what I'm focusing on.
So this is a new boat. You haven't done very many miles. Do you have a lot of confidence in the boat, or are you still concerned about it?
船はこのバンデアークティックでだいぶ強化したんで、大丈夫だと思います。心配してないです。
Yeah, of course. I'm very confident of the boat, and I've sailed I sailed not as much as I wanted to, but I did the Vendée Arctic, which we had lots of problems, and we fixed all these problems after a race. So I know the boat is strong, and I know it can do the around the world.
What did you learn in particular from the Vendée Arctic, Koji?
そうだな。ボートは疲れることは学びました。
I learned that this boat in particular, my boat is very tiring.
10年前に欲しかった。
I wanted to have these kinds of boat 10 years ago.
Yeah. And Alex was saying that he feels very comfortable. He's very at home inside his boat. Are you the same, Koji, or do you much prefer to be outside?
でもいっぱい仲間の写真を飾るんで、きっと楽しくなると思います。
Yeah, there is lots of photos of crew members and family and friends in the boat. So I already feel at home in the boat.
And you had problems before with seasickness. Is it better or is it worse on this boat?
ダメ。もう1週間は死んでます。
I won't be in working order for about a week. Yeah.
変なメガネ買ったから。
We got seasickness
の
glasses.
Fantastic. And Koji, you're planning to be back in 2024.
2024年に戻ると聞いたんですけど、どうですか？
終わってから考えさせてくれ。
Let me think and ask me the same question after the end of the Vendée Globe. I might have a different idea.
Well, thank you for speaking to us just now. We'll join you again in a few minutes. Meantime, let's join Pip Hare. Looking forward to her first start in the Vendée Globe. She promises it's not going to be her last. Pip, tell me how you feel at this stage then. It's obviously very disappointing that we're not going to have crowds and indeed friends and family over.
Yeah, I mean, it has been immensely disappointing, you know, not so much for the crowds, but the fact is that, you know, there are many people who have collectively got me to where I am now. And in my mind, all of those people were going to feel the same emotion that I did on the start day. And sure, we'll share it virtually, but it's not the same, and we will make the most of it. But you know, I do feel a loss at not being able to have those people around me. And right now, I am nervous as hell. I mean, it's you know, I think I've been so focused on getting to the start, and then you have to transition to this thought of getting to the finish. And I'm very aware of all of the variables, all the things that could happen on the way. You know, we're doing the best we can to mitigate against every problem that we might have with the boat, but stuff happens. And so I'm definitely feeling the weight of the start coming up. But that kind of just makes me want to just get going.
Get going. You're itching to get going. Are you getting a little bit stir crazy there?
Me, yes. Can you tell?
And how do you deal with that? I mean, you go out and do your running and everything else and get out in the fresh air a bit.
Yeah, for me, you know, exercise has always been a really important way to sort of calm my mind down. And so, yeah, I've actually been running quite a bit, and that really helps. And
you have a nice location there, don't you?
Yeah, it's good. Loads of empty forests and sand dunes, and it's a good place to be.
What's your game plan over the first few days of the race? Do you have a strategy in place?
I mean, I think for me, it's just to kind of, you know, nothing fancy. Just get back into it. Just sort of establish myself, get sorted. Don't make any stupid mistakes. You know, I always say it takes me about 2 weeks to warm up. So so nothing fancy to start off with.
You told me it takes you a transatlantic to warm up.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, you've got a fantastic boat that you know so well. It'll be relatively easy, I think, to just get into the rhythm.
Yeah, and that's it. You know, the work that we've been able to do to the boat in the last 3 months has been incredible. You know, we've just turbocharged it, and it feels. I was training before I came to Les Sables. I was out training in big breeze a lot, and it just feels good, and it feels solid, and it feels like the right boat for me. So then that means it's just down to me, isn't it?
Okay, Pip, thank you very much indeed. We're going to join Ari Huusela now. Ari, how are you?
Yes.
Yes, you're happy with your preparations. You're all ready to go.
Yeah, I'm quite happy. Yes, I've been sailing with my boat already since 2018 spring, so now 2.5 years and almost 25,000 miles altogether. So I know the boat quite well, and as we have also really no team at all, actually. We have my friends and my colleagues, lots of good people helping with me. So I've been also involved as Pip a lot for building the boat and doing all the preparations. So I know the boat quite well now. I'm happy for that.
Ari, you're very good friends with Alex. What advice has Alex been giving you specifically?
We have been talking a lot, and we will talk later on even more. But yeah, I think one of the best was that we are creating value for our sponsors. That's one main goal of us to do, right? So that our sponsors are happy that and they will continue with us, and we are making our sport like well known and interesting for sponsors also. So that's good, and yeah, that kind of stuff on the economical side.
Absolutely. Ari, what are your colleagues at work at Finnair? What do they think of what you're doing?
Some of them, of course, might think that I'm a bit crazy. Maybe even some of my co-pilots who are having a seat right to me during our 10 hours, 11 hours flights, but they don't dare to say that aloud. So it's quite funny. But yeah, I think they appreciate and they have some respect because I do it on my own way, safety first, which has been my guideline almost whole my life since I started as I was 15 in aviation maintenance school and did some 10 years maintaining the planes, and the only guideline on those times, or since those times, has been safety first, and after that comes all other stuff like economics or schedules or like on our case race. But yeah,
Okay,
they know how to do the things, and they trust me, and I think they are behind me.
Thank you, Ari. So we have some very quick questions from the internet, from our friends and family and around the world, our Vendée Globe fans. Alexander, start off then with their questions.
Yes, our first question is for Alex. People have been wondering, what are you going to miss the most when you're going to be at sea?
Definitely my children and my wife. Yeah, I've got a 9-year-old boy, Oscar. I have got a 6-year-old daughter, Georgia, and my lovely wife, Kate. And my son is getting into the virtual race. I have to say, he did the virtual prologue race, but I think he lost a little bit of interest. And when I picked up to see where he was, he was aground on the Spanish coast. So I said to him, Oscar, you know what, you need to pay attention more. And he said, well, Dad, that's what you did in Guadeloupe, wasn't it?
Thank you, Alex. Miranda, you mentioned earlier you're looking forward to seeing the albatrosses and to disconnect a bit from this modern world. Can you please share with us something else you're looking forward for?
The spending time on the sea, because it's one of the last places of complete freedom. We haven't managed to wreck it completely. It's a lot more polluted than it was, but it's still an amazing place. It's the same sea, the same oceans that they were 2,000 years ago. A cubic meter of water still weighs a ton when it's crashing over the deck, and I think it's extraordinary to be able to go and spend time in such a pristine environment, and also, I mean, we have to be pretty careful. We'll be lucky if we all get through unscathed, I think. But it's not many people get to spend time in places like that, and for me, it's an absolute honor.
Thank you, Miranda. Kajiro, could you please tell us what types of books you're going to be reading during this Vendée Globe?
本はね、入れすぎて、あと目が悪いんで読めないんで、オーディオブックに変えました。
I'm getting old and I need reading glasses, so I won't be able to bring books, especially in these kinds of boats that are very shaking a lot. So I have brought quite a bit of audiobooks, Japanese audiobooks.
And Pip, you recently performed in the Three Peaks yacht race. What are you going to miss the most, the mountains or the sea? Excuse me, what are you going to miss the mountains during your time at sea?
But my heart's always in the sea, so both is amazing.
And Ari, can you please tell us who is someone that has inspired you throughout your life?
Oh, that's a question. When I started sailing, I was an adult, 24 years old, and of course, from that time, I saw 2 Finnish guys doing BOC, race around the world with 4 stopovers, and on that time, one of those guys, Pentti Salmi, wrote about the mini transat, which I was a bit interested in that time, but I had just started sailing, so it took a while, 13 years before I was on the start line. Those guys, maybe Jallis Harkima and Pentti Salmi, has been very inspiring on my sailing career. Of course, Alex also has been very inspiring and helped me a lot. So those are the guys.
And thank you for the transition, Ari, because we're back to Alex. We have a question from Roman. She's 9 years old, and she wants to ask you, what are you afraid of when you're sailing around the world?
I think that the thing I'm afraid of most is not performing and having a technical problem that stops me from finishing the race or being able to be competitive. That's definitely probably my biggest fear.
And Miranda, we've seen you with your cup of tea during this Vendée Zoom. Do you have anything special planned for Christmas? A little slice of Christmas cake?
Ooh, my mother's homemade Christmas cake. I've got a mini Christmas cake in the nav box, which I will enjoy at Christmas time. And that will be the only source of alcohol on board as well.
All right. Well, Merry Christmas in advance then. Kajiro, have you ever had second thoughts about doing this Vendée, especially going back for a second time?
まあこうもう一回思い出した思い返したこととか。
バンデグローブ。
バンデグローブ。
周りはあります。マスト折ったことをねすごく思い出しますんで、今回のマストアレックスが歩いてないから大丈夫だと。
Of course, but 4 years ago, it was my mask broke and I had to retire from the race. This time, Alex hasn't been on our mask, so I think it will be safe to. It won't be breaking this time. Yeah.
Thank you, Pip. In 2016, there weren't any women on the starting line, and for this 2020 edition, there are going to be 6 of you. How do you explain this change in the lineup?
I don't know that I can explain why there weren't any in 2016, but I think, it's a phenomenal thing this year that there are 6, and I hope that in 2024 there'll be 12 or more. It's been very, very difficult for women to take part in ocean racing traditionally, but more and more women are now finding their feet in the sport, and I hope that by other women out there seeing the 6 of us take our places on the start line under equal terms with everyone else, they will feel that they also belong in the sport and they won't be shy and they'll take their first steps forward.
And Ari, another big question for you. Isa was asking, what are you the most proud of?
Of course, I'm most proud of my team, my homemade team, the guys, girls, my wife, my relatives, my sponsors who has been backing me up, and without those, I'd never been able to do even my first mini transat. So I'm very proud of those guys.
Thank you very much indeed to all of our skippers then for your time today. Join us again on Sunday morning. There will be live coverage of the dock out from 8 o'clock local time, 7 o'clock in the UK with Alec Wilkinson, Mike Golding and Dee Kafari. And our first Vendée Globe live is on Monday at 13:30 French time. Join us then.